Experience 10 days of Grand Europe trip for easy EMI of Rs 25,000 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Nimati Property Management. Contact 766 700 8999.
My name is Chawang. I'm from Manipur and I came to Chennai in 2004. I did my schooling here in Chennai and my college as well. I did my college in Anna University. While pursuing my masters, I sort of started coaching as a part-time job and then it sort of evolved into a full-time job. And now I'm part of FC Marina. I'm really glad to be here. And the FC Marina we started initially in 2019 and this was the first facility that we started. So but now it has evolved into, we have now 5 facilities and one will be coming in October. In the next few weeks we are opening a new location now.
Tamil கத்துக்கிட்டீங்களா இங்க வந்து?
Yes, I've learned Tamil. Not very confident speaking it, but I do understand it and I can speak it if it requires.
FC Marina team என்ன மோட்டிவோட ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணப்பட்டது?
So FC Marina was started by Adrian and Vikram, very passionate footballers. They played for the state as well, for Tamil Nadu state, and they were both mariners, merchant navies. So for them, they wanted to do something for football here in Chennai and they started for that reason that okay, we need to give back something to the players, to the society in terms of football. That's when they decided to leave Merchant Navy and started this particular facility that we are in now. So that is the start of FC Marina and I joined in 2021 in August. So we are just, the proper academy has just been started into 1 year now, but we are very happy that there's been a fabulous growth.
சார் இன்னைக்கு அரௌண்ட் 6 ஃபுட்பால் கோச்சிங் கிளப் வச்சுருக்கீங்க FC Marina. 500 நியர் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து இருக்கிறதா கூட கேள்விப்பட்டேன் ஆல்ரெடி உங்கள் டீம் கோச்சஸ் கிட்ட கேட்கும்போது. ஃபுட்பால் கேம் கற்றுக்க வரவங்களுக்கு நீங்கள் சொல்ல வர விஷயம் என்ன? இந்த கேமோட இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் அல்ல இந்த கேமோட நீட்ஸ் என்ன அப்படின்றத நீங்கள் சொல்லுங்கள்.
I think the most important thing that people can learn of football is how to work as a team, because there's always, when you take a 5-a-side or a 7-a-side or 11-a-side, there's always the component of a teamwork. And you can always look at it in the historically good teams that have played all over. So that being how to work in a team and how do you, for us when we teach our children, I think the most important part is how do we teach them with that teamwork, how do we teach them the added responsibility. So that I think is something that we want to inculcate in all of the players at FC Marina.
ஸோ ஃபுட்பால் கேம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லினாலே ரொம்ப ரிஸ்க் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. இந்த கேம் இஸ் வெரி ரிஸ்க் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க நிறைய பேர். என்ன மாதிரியான ரிஸ்க்ஸ்லாம் இருக்குது, அதை ஃபேஸ் பண்ண எந்த மாதிரியான கோச்சிங்லாம் கொடுக்குறீங்க நீங்கள்?
So I think there is a big misconception when it comes to football being a risky sport. I think the risk is almost the same as you play any other sport. Obviously when there is an open game, you're going to have injuries related to the lower part of the body. And for that, you're not going to see it with the younger kids because they are much more flexible. But as the kids, let's say they come up to the age of 15 and 18, that's where they started, their body starts to strengthen. We do a lot of strength and conditioning for the players, and then we start to teach them the form of each strength and conditioning, how to start it, because as they grow older, the injuries will become much more common there. So to avoid that, we start to do strength and conditioning with them maybe at the age of 15 and 18 years old.
சார், இன்ஜுரி பற்றி பேசுனதுனால இந்த கேள்வி கேட்குறேன். நிறைய இன்ஜுரி ஆகணும் தான் பர்டிகுலராக ஃபுட்பால் ஸ்போர்ட்ஸில் பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ண மாட்டாங்களா நிறைய பேர்?
I think that's a very big misconception. I think the risk is almost the same as you would get in any other sport, and I think that's a false narrative that is being put around by people.
மற்ற கேம்ஸுக்கு கொடுக்குற இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் அளவுக்கு ஏன் ஃபுட்பால் கேமுக்கு கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்க?
Well, it all boils down to, I mean, the first instance is how much of money is being poured into infrastructure, how much of money is being poured into the development of grassroots. Well, for example, if you take in Chennai and if you count the number of football fields that are available, except for the Nehru Stadium and the Nehru Park, you don't find a lot more. Whereas if you take in the terms of cricket, there's a whole lot more fields available. And this, when I say fields, I mean 11-a-side fields. So of course, there are 5-a-sides and 7-a-sides cropping up all over the city, and we ourselves have 5-6 facilities as of now. And I think it all comes down to the investment that is coming in. At cricket, you have a lot of investment, and that's why there's also the added interest to it. But I think football is coming up into where people are willing to invest in it. But it will go there, but it will take some time.
சார், ஃபுட்பால் கேம் அப்படின்னாலே யூரோப்பியன் பிளேயர்ஸ், சவுத் அமெரிக்கன் பிளேயர்ஸ் டாமினண்ட்டாக இருக்காங்க ஆல்வேஸ், எப்போவுமே. எதனால் ஆசியாவிலேருந்து ஃபுட்பால் பிளேயர்ஸ் பெருசாக ஒரு டாக்கபிள் பிளேயர்ஸாக வரல, பேசும்படியான விளையாட்டு வீரர்களாக வரல?
So when you talk about football in Europe and in the South American culture, I think they both have a different way of, when you talk about, take for example, when you see cricket in Australia or in England or in India, the culture is different in each of these countries, and it's the same when you take a football as well. And in India, I think the kids that start out, we are still starting out very late, and even though we start out very late, there isn't necessary competitions in place where the kids are exposed at a very young age, whereas that's very much different when you take the North American or the South American or the European countries, and that's where I think we in India have to fix, and we are also trying to fix that by trying to conduct a league called the Baby Leagues, which is from an AFF Golden Baby League, which is All India Football Federation League, wherein it's a span of 2 months we conduct matches every Saturdays and Sundays. So I think only then will you see players catch up, and I think we are at a stage where you see a lot of Asian players, especially in the Premier League. You have Son, who is doing really well in Tottenham. You have in Arsenal as well. You have in Wolves as well. So I think players are cropping up every now and then in the Premier League, in the European leagues. So I think it's only in a few years' time, I think we will definitely see Indian players in the European circuits.
ஃபுட்பால் கேம் வந்து ஒரு இப்போது மற்ற கேம்ஸுக்கெலாம் ஒவ்வொரு விஷயம் சொல்லுவாங்க. சில விஷயங்கள்லாம் பேசும்போது மென்டல் ஹெல்த்துக்கு ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லான கேம் இது, ஃபிசிக்கல் ஹெல்த்துக்கு ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லான கேம்லாம் எல்லா கேம்ஸையும் சொல்லுவாங்க. அந்த மாதிரி ஃபுட்பால் வந்து மென்டல் ஹெல்த்துக்கும் ஃபிசிக்கல் ஹெல்த்துக்கும் எந்த அளவுக்கு ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்குது?
I will not directly answer the question, but I will let you know of something that we do at the academy. So we give a player a report card at the end of every term, which is 3 months. And we do the player report, we do basic information like their name, their age, their height, their weight, so on. But then we include 4 important factors. One is the technical part, which is how they play in football. The second is the physical part, which is how quick they are in the field, how good is their agility. The third part is a psychosocial, which is a combination of the psychology as well as the social ability of the players. And we see in players who are often confident in themselves and in what they do, and who are able to mingle well in the players are the ones who usually perform well. And so a huge part of what we do in our training programs is also not only just the technical and the physical part, but also in developing the players to think for themselves in the field, which is a huge part in football.
ஓகே சார். கிரிக்கெட்டுக்கு கொடுக்குற இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் வந்து ஃபுட்பாலுக்கு கொடுக்க மாட்றாங்களே, ஏன்?
I think so. This again goes back to the answer which I gave earlier. It's a huge part in the investment. And people, when they invest, they want to see returns, and you are not likely to get the returns as much in football as is the returns that you get in cricket. I think the atmosphere is slowly changing. The ISL, the entry of the ISL league has definitely changed. People are, I think, now at a phase where they are more likely, to invest in football, and that's very heartening to see a lot of people investing and then expecting no returns, and they are trying to do that for the betterment of the game, which I think is very helpful.
சார், இந்தியன் கிரிக்கெட் பிளேயர்ஸில் சில பேர் இருக்காங்க, லைக் நம்ம தோனி சார், கோலி சார், ரோஹித் சார்னு இவங்கெல்லாம் வந்து ஒரு ஹீரோ லெவல் பிளேயர்ஸாக பார்க்கப்படுறாங்க இந்தியன் கிரிக்கெட் டீமில். பட் ஃபுட்பாலுக்குன்னு இந்தியன் பிளேயர்ஸில் வந்து யாருமே அந்தளவுக்கு இல்லையே, பேசப்படலையே.
I think again it goes back to how football is portrayed in the media, and I think that has a big impact as well, because if you take a look at the captain of the Indian football team, Mr. Captain Fantastic as he is known, Mr. Sunil Chhetri, he is now the third highest active goal scorer behind obviously Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, and that speaks a huge factor about how good players are there in India at the moment. And the question, I think, goes back to what can we do as people, as coaches, to inculcate that believe in our players, that there are role models for you in Indian spheres. And one of the things we do is when we have our intra-league, we make sure that the teams of each teams are named after Indian football players, so that the young players, for example, a 5 or a 7-year-old or a 9-year-old, they associate that name with someone in the Indian sphere. And from our side, that is something that we do, and that is something which we will always do.